Very excited to welcome to the show our next guest. You've probably seen him on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, How the States Got Their Shapes, The Daily Show, a number of different programs. Welcome back to the show, Brian Unger.
It is so great to be on with you this morning. How's it going over there at the Damage Report?
It's pretty good here. You know, not a huge news day, but we're very excited to have you here.
Hi there.
How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. This is great.
This is so lovely. We're all so polite.
Well, let's see if that maintains throughout the rest of the.
We'll see how this goes.
Yeah, a few things I want to talk about. I wanted to start off with Jeff Bezos because it was already an interesting, ongoing, ever-evolving story, and then we had his Medium post where he describes how he was doing this investigation as to how some of his private texts had been acquired and then leaked. And apparently he was approached by the parent company of the National Enquirer and threatened to drop his investigation or else more nude photos would be released. And he decided not to do that and he publicized the entire thing. What was your reaction to this?
I don't know, I'm reminded over and over again is like, don't videotape yourself having sex. Don't take a picture of your member, your organ, your whatever, and transmit that electronically to anyone. It will be found. And we've known this since the age of, by the way, videotape, since like say VHS tapes. And wherever you are on the spectrum, let's say, like if you're an R. Kelly, hey, that's gonna get seen eventually. Yeah. I'm not saying Jeff Bezos is R. Kelly. I just want to be very, very clear about that.
Good,
but listen. If there were an axe to grind, it would be Jeff Bezos being just a total pebble in the shoe of Donald Trump perpetually, and I think he would like nothing else than to sick his people on him and make his life miserable. So is it plausible? Yeah, I think someone in the government may have hacked his stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I do see a lot of talk about that, and I mean, it's possible if he continues this investigation that we could find out more about that. We also know that if AMI was breaking the law, that seems like it would be bad to begin with, but it also would break their non-prosecution agreement with the Robert Mueller team. They were supposed to stop breaking the law when they signed on with that, and so it's just interesting to speculate about what could end up happening from this story. Was there an ongoing partnership between someone in government and AMI to protect?
Is this a story of like two journalistic titans going head to head?
I don't know. Now, sort of floating around this story though is the fact that a lot of people, even if they're scared about what this might represent from the National Enquirer or the possibility the government could be involved, nobody or very few people want to feel sympathy towards Jeff Bezos. He's one of the wealthiest people in the history of the planet.
Now, why is that? Now, why don't we feel sympathy? Is it just because he's so grotesquely wealthy? Is that it?
Well, also he's shown like not much consideration for privacy rights or for human rights himself until he was forced into raising the wages of his employees. So I think that has influenced the response. But I would say, you can believe in those ideals and also feel bad for Jeff Bezos in this particular situation because it's a gross invasion of privacy and being blackmailed. It's nuts.
I think this is a classic case of a nerd who became wildly rich and then fell for a local news anchor. This happens in every town.
A tale as old as time. I think we could help to avoid situations like this. I know it's difficult, but I feel like we should have a blanket policy, and let me know if you agree or not, that unless there is an illegal act or a child involved, when someone's nude photos are released, just support that person. So that people don't have to be scared about this stuff coming out. I think that would be a good development for society.
Also interesting how the reaction to this from the general public is different from the reaction when, say, Jennifer Lawrence's pictures were leaked. Women are treated with more derision when things like that happen, as opposed to men who don't.
It's funny because this is one of the, you're right, Emma, and John, this falls into that weird sort of like, in one category, this story doesn't matter and nobody cares at all. Like, really, it's not as if he's elected to public office, and it's not like he's your minister in your local town. He's just a rich guy who has some nude photos that will eventually be out there. They're in the ether, they'll probably be published at some point. I think it only gets weird is like, what if there is some clandestine sort of like hacking thing going on where then you have, if you take the Amazon part out of it, he's the kind of the publisher of a national newspaper. And so then it becomes an attack on the press in intimidation and extortion and all of that stuff. So it could easily tip into that territory and be very serious, or it could just be like, you know.
Yeah, and look, we need good journalism more than ever. So my plea, I guess, to the companies that are still doing that, their leadership is don't take pictures of your private parts because I don't want you getting blackmailed in the future.
I mean, isn't that really it in the end? Like, just, I don't know, you know, go online and look at porn. Don't make your own.
Well, then who would make the porn?
That's a lesson for us all. That's true. Well, some people it's their career. So there's much more important news that I do want to make sure that we get to, and that is that today, possibly as we speak, Donald Trump is receiving his presidential physical, and despite his best efforts, Ronnie Jackson is not going to be conducting it. This is the doctor who said that he's in very, very good health, excellent health. I'd put him in the highest category. And all of that. So we might get an honest physical. Will this be the thing that takes down Donald Trump?
You know, whatever the results are, I will file them away with or perceive them with the same credibility that Donald Trump's take, whatever his take is on climate change, the efficacy of border walls, I don't know, computer hacking. I mean, I'm not sure why we as a country should accept his science when he won't accept anyone else's.
Yeah, I think the government reported BMI for Donald Trump is a hoax created by the Chinese.
I mean, listen. Let us just be, let's just call it like it is. Yeah. This man is obese.
And you know what? A lot of Americans are. So
that's right.
He represents
and I'm not getting
America.
down on, I find myself in this culture now where we have to apologize to everyone before as we say something. But Donald Trump's gigantic.
Yeah, and look, I honestly think that he could use that fact to start a conversation about American food safety, access to healthy food and all that, but I don't expect that will actually happen. I have one more question for you. We're gonna go over a little bit for this. Donald Trump, he launched us into the shutdown. It appears to have been a disaster for him. Multiple polls, including Morning Consult and also Rasmussen, show that January was his worst month ever for approval. And so I'm curious, from your point of view, have we entered sort of a new phase for Donald Trump where he no longer has the sort of unified control of government that he did? He doesn't necessarily have the influence to turn things around for him. Do you think that this might be a point of no return for his power, or will he find a way to bounce back?
I think, are you asking me if there was a tipping point? And I would say the tipping point was probably a couple of weeks ago. I do think that, I always liken America to sort of like passengers on a plane at 30,000 feet. And after a while, everybody gets sick of the turbulence and wants it to stop, wants to get off the plane. And I think kind of like, the center of America, I'm not talking about the 83% of Republicans who still approve of him, want the ride to be over. And I think we're just gonna have to know and be sort of just kind of okay with a turbulent ride for the next couple of years until this thing ends. Just because of the noise and instability and all of it is really an annoying thing. If you really look at it from a high altitude. So yeah, I think you're right. I think this is kind of the we're watching the gradual unraveling. And I don't know. I say that maybe with too much confidence, maybe because that's kind of a gut thing I have from having grown up in the Midwest. But even my mom's Republican card playing friends, are they don't even want to talk about him anymore, and they just want it to be over.
Okay, well, that's perhaps a positive note to the end of week on. Brian Unger, as always, thank you for joining us.
That wasn't terribly funny either, but it was just my.
It does not have to be, okay? You can be insightful. I
love you guys. Keep fighting the fight.
Thank you.
We need you.
Thank you, and you as well. And so have a good weekend, Brian.
Thanks. You too. Bye.
Thank you very much for watching this clip from the Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notifications of our new videos. And of course, you can catch the full Damage Report live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.